Hi, this is Travis in the Uncanny Valley. So I'm gonna just go through the highly sensitive person test. This is um, hsperson.com test, highly sensitive test. So this is copyright. The test is copyright by Elaine and Aaron, 1996. Um, it's free to take, so I'm sharing it here with no known issues about sharing it. So there's 27 questions, and it says answer each question according to the way you personally feel. Check the box if it is at least somewhat true for you. Leave unchecked if it is not very true or not at all true for you. So, uh, yeah, this is so one of my problems, as it's seen by most people and as I've experienced it, is that I overshare. So, here's a good example of that. Um, but I'm trying to flesh out like how I can be an overly sensitive person and have other things going on that I know I have going on. And I think the biggest struggle there is that uh, being a highly sensitive person, it's DOES. It's an acronym, and the E is for empathetic or at least highly emotional. And I am not empathetic. Um, I know that's not a shortcoming because that's the way I was made. Um, and it's just my journey. My struggle is just to figure out how to be a loving person in light of that. Um, and but yeah, so I am gonna try and just go through this here real quickly. So question one: I am easily overwhelmed by strong sensory input. That's an absolute yes. So um, I'm not doing this to like have an exaggerated view of how many I check off because I've taken this several times and I'm just trying to wrap my mind around it. And but you could have one of these things that overwhelms you to where you're not able to manage yourself. And if things are overwhelming, they're overwhelming. It's not that having a bunch more of them to a lesser degree is a you know a harder journey. We're all on our own journey here. So anyways, I am easily overwhelmed by strong sensory input. Okay, so I can't say that I'm like real extreme on that one because the easily part. But I am frequently overwhelmed by sensory input. It takes I want to say it takes a lot, but really it just takes a lot of sensory input that I need to be engaged with. If it's stuff I can drown out while I'm doing other things, maybe not. But yes, that's a definite yes. I seem to be aware of subtleties in my environment. Okay, now here's one of the ones in the category of the fact that I have mind blindness and I don't know what to do with the information. So, like, this is where someone might struggle uh, with reconciling being a highly sensitive person and having other issues around mind blindness or how to process um, other people's experiences or their own social experiences. So I am aware of the subtleties in my environment. It's that when they are of a social aspect, I don't necessarily know um, the typical way to process them. Other people's moods affect me. Yes, I am. Uh, I'm gonna say I am to some degree empathic, which means I can pick up on broad emotional ranges. The thing where mind blindness comes into play is that I cannot, with any degree of accuracy, uh, say what they're experiencing, or understand their emotions. I can't project that onto them. I lack that capacity. I say thankfully. I don't understand that process of what I call projection to be a healthy process. So, maybe I'm just making the best of my situation, but other people's moods do affect me. More so once I can understand it and sympathize. But yes, other people's moods definitely affect me, though. I mean, that's a definite yes. I tend to be very sensitive to pain. I'm going to say no to that one just because, um, as many instances as I could think of that I am sensitive to pain and um, sensitive to different sensory things and different parts of my body, like my teeth or something. I mean, uh, I have just as many that go the other way. Where, if I have something in my hand, I get my knife out, I sterilize it, I cut, uh, I remove the foreign object. So, like, it's not to say it doesn't hurt. So I don't have insensitivity to pain, but I'm not. I would not say that I'm very sensitive to pain. So I leave that unchecked. I find myself needing to withdraw during busy days into bed or into a darkened room or any place where I can have some privacy and relief from stimulation. Um, for me, uh, I don't withdraw from sensory input per se. It's social. It's largely social, or what's a good word for it? Um, coming from, it's largely noises and stimuli that come from an intelligent creature. So, like, if I'm in a room full of people, that's much more exhausting than being outside with just as much noise. The decibel level itself is not inherently what is overwhelming. It's that it comes from sentient beings that are communicating things that I have to filter, whether it's directed at me or not. So I do have to withdraw from uh, and get privacy from stimulation, specifically social and sometimes cognitive. I'm particularly sensitive to the effects of caffeine. Um, as much coffee as I drink in a day, I had been inclined to say no, but then it's 1:56 in the morning, and I think I might have had coffee. It was within my time frame that I have coffee every day, and I am just wide awake. And yeah, so yes, it's more like a delicate balance. Way too little sleep, way too much coffee. So, like, I am sensitive to caffeine. I'm easily overwhelmed by things like bright lights, strong smells, coarse fabrics, or sirens close by. I'm not going to get into the details. That is a yes. I have a rich, complex inner life. That is a yes. I am made uncomfortable by loud noises. Um, that's a yes, although I can work in situations that are extremely loud for extremely long shifts, for day after day after day, because that is what I have to do. And I endure it. And I do. It is draining. I'm deeply moved by the arts or music. Yes. I have songs. Yes. That is yes. I have songs and books that my nervous system sometimes feels so frazzled that I just have to go off by myself. Yes. That is usually, um, that's not super frequent because it's usually from being overwhelmed by social interactions. And by social interactions, I just mean proximity to people. Like, I don't have to be interacting with the people. I just have to be near the social interactions. And my analytical, observational mind kicks on, and I'm filtering through all of that stuff, trying to catalog. And oh my gosh, this is it's weird to say the stuff out loud, is all it is. It's not that I'm embarrassed or anything. It's just weird to say this out loud because yeah. Okay, so yeah, I have to go off by myself. Um, I am conscientious. Yes, as abrasive and as rude as I can come off, that is overwhelmingly from not understanding social norms. I try very hard to be conscientious, and I don't at the same time feel like I don't have to try very hard because I just like it's. I want to be uh, considerate and conscientious of other people, especially when yeah, I do. Oh, excuse me. I startle easily. So this is mostly going to be the thing here about startling easily. Yes, I do, but it's if it deals with people. So if it's situations, I guess the biggest distinction I'm making here is that I don't startle at the same things that startle other people usually. Uh, I do get startled. uh, I would say probably quite a bit, but not by uh, nature or things that I know are nature. I mean, like a tree could fall down right next to me. 100-foot tree could fall down right next to me. Uh, and I would see it falling, and I would just be. I, I've done this because I've fell quite a few trees, and like I just, obviously I was aware of that, but like my mind just very intentionally clicks to like HD high def mode, like to fully engage and like in the moment, and yeah. So I don't startle easy at those kind of things, but yeah, if there's people, someone dropping something where I feel like there's you know someone's going to get upset about it because I don't understand the getting upset about it. That's been a big deal um, that I've been experiencing lately. Is there was a long time where uh, uh, there was a lot of uh, yelling and anger around things making noise. So it's not the noise itself that directly startles me or upsets me emotionally, but uh, the impending uh, yelling about it is really it's. I get rattled. Next one, I get rattled when I have a lot to do in a short amount of time. Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. When people are uncomfortable in a physical environment, I tend to know what needs to be done to make it more comfortable, like changing the lighting or the seating. Okay, this is a perfect one where I can't check it because it's a two-part question. Two-part questions bother me because this has so much packed into it. It says when people are comfortable in a physical environment, I tend to know what needs to be done because this is to me a two-part question because I can totally pick up when like I feel like I'm slightly empathic. Like I can pick up that someone is in distress, but this ties into it um, the ability the what I consider the mythical ability, or at least this is where double empathy comes into play. You have to be able to know what that person wants, and that's a separate thing. And I can't check that one, like changing the seating or the lighting. I could guess, but I lack the capacity to project um, uh, onto them. I just go ask them. Like that's so much more valuable in my mind. So I'm not able to see the value um, in feeling like you inferred something correctly, and so what? Like you also didn't ask them, and maybe they're uh, playing along because you're trying to be nice. Had you asked them, maybe they'd have said something different. Maybe they'd have not been aware of it too. Maybe you're right, and they wouldn't have been aware that they wanted the lighting to be dim. But it's just one of those things where I don't. It seems unknowable to me. Next one, I'm annoyed when people try to get me to do too many things at once. Yes, definitely, but for me, this is driven by two things. It's too many things at once, but then the other thing is when people try to get me to do to me, it's like stay in your lane. You know, uh, I'm a grown man. Like, there's not very many situations. Okay, there are some situations that I can think of, but there's not many situations where you are in your lane trying to get me to do too many things at once. So, like, I'm usually annoyed just at how inappropriate of a thing that is. Um, but then, yes, whenever it is expected of me, I am annoyed, largely because I need to plan things out in my mind. I need to visualize the situations. I have to work out the conversations and blah, blah, blah. And then to have me do too many things at once is rushing that process. So, also the stimuli of having to do those too many things at once, though. I try hard to avoid making mistakes or forgetting things. Yes, but I take the human, like, I try hard, but like I'm not hung up on it. Like, I don't have a, like, I can't really call it perfectionist streak. Like, I try and do my best, but then, like, it it genuinely doesn't bother me that, like, at work I know I'm gonna miss things. Like, I actually go out of my way to make sure that I bring it up when I find my mistakes, because I not only ruminate on conversations, but like I go over my work after I've turned in a thing to the next person downstream of me in the production process. Like, I'm going to go over it over the next few weeks. Things are going to get missed. I might as well find what things I've missed, and I bring it up willingly, eagerly, because I want it to be that kind of a climate where you know I don't think work environments where mistakes are, uh, responded to with anger is just. I just think it's wildly inappropriate. So uh, I try to avoid making mistakes, but I don't have hang-ups around the mistakes that I do make. So next one, I make a point to avoid violent movies and TV shows. Absolutely. Next. I become unpleasantly aroused when a lot is going on around me. Okay, so I visualize my brain as many, many processors, and then like everything that's happening. If it's a group activity making a lot of noise and commotion and sparks um, around this task, like I'm able to, regardless of if it's one person or three people, I'm able to assign that to one processor. And then if someone like walks off and they're doing a different thing, like, so like I do have, oh, excuse me, probably higher than normal level of awareness of the activities around me. Um, and it can be overwhelming. So, like, to the extent that I think that's what they're asking, yeah, I can be unpleasantly aroused when a lot is going on around me. It's just very draining, I'll say, too. So that puts me, just the fact that it's draining puts me to where going about my business is going to aggravate me more and sooner. Being very hungry creates a strong reaction in me, disrupting my concentration or mood. Yes, and I apologize if you've been near me when I'm hungry. I can work through meals, but then if I'm not working and we're just skipping a meal just to skip a meal, or if I am working and we're just all expected to skip a meal because you're wanting to skip a meal, no, you can keep that. Thank you very much. Uh, More so if it's attempted to be put upon others. We're all gonna skip lunch. Now I'm definitely taking lunch. Thank you. Changes in my life shake me up. Um, yeah, I think the distinction that makes this relevant is when they're by others, or and they're on short notice. But like, or if they're inconsistent, if it's like, hey, this Monday I have a thing, or we have a thing, this Monday, the next Tuesday, the following Thursday, and then the following Saturday. It's like pick a day. But yeah, it's changes are too many moving parts, basically. Yes, that's really hard to keep track of mentally. I have to have a mental calendar, um, and so whenever it's a yes, that's just a yes. I notice and enjoy delicate or fine scents, tastes, sounds, works of art. Um, Absolutely. Now, there's uh, one aspect to this is my physical limitations. Like, um, I think I got some sinus stuff I've had for decades, um, where I might not have the delicate sense of smell. Um, but I had my hearing checked, and I have pretty much perfect hearing, which I can definitely attest to that. I feel like I hear everything. And then, but yeah, the sense, yes, tastes. I eat probably more than I should, but I appreciate and I value the flavor. And the one thing that I want with consistency with my meals is that like I feel like I know how short life is. And so instead of wanting the same meal after meal after meal, like I want variety meal after meal after meal. Like I don't want to miss out. It's like there's only so many meals I got left. So, but yeah, I mean, fine works of art. Uh, oh my goodness. I mean, like, okay, I got time for an example on this one. Uh, so I was taking some art classes last summer, and I was wanting to do a still life of something that was already inherently pleasing to look at. And so when we went to the farmer's market that next Saturday, I shopped at there was this baker who uh, made these loaves of these round, uh, beautifully carved with the knife sourdough loaves of sourdough bread. And I kept it in the fridge so I could keep it fresh. And I tried to do it at home, and I tried to draw it at home again. And I tried to draw it in art class. And then I had to give up because I realized why it was so unfulfilling is that, like, I was trying to capture in 2D something that would have been challenging, first of all, but something that was perfectly embodied as 3D art. Like the loaf of sourdough bread was so pleasing to the eye. It was bread, but it was beautiful. I mean, like for $7, I bought a piece of art. You know, um, I find it unpleasant to have a lot going on at once. So here, yes, I escape my executive function struggles by having way too much going on. Um, and then if the things that are going on are not of my choosing, then it really brings to the surface that I really don't like to have a lot going on. I like to have a lot going on either as a distraction so that I can have too many irons in the fire and not finish tasks. A lot of tasks get to, um, the Peter principle. Like I reach my level of incompetence in a given task. And it's like, well, at least I've got 30 other tasks going on. I can kind of put that one on the back burner until I figure out what, if anything, I'm ever going to be able to do about that task. Next one, I make it a high priority to arrange my life to avoid upsetting or overwhelming situations. No, sadly, I didn't. I did. I mean, I should have been having healthy boundaries, but like, um, I was avoiding social gatherings just because, like, I know I don't owe people my presence, especially when I'm usually the plus one or whatever. I'm not a uh, I'm the type of person at social situations where people might say, "Oh, where's so and so," but uh, you know, I don't exactly light up a room because my struggles and my unhealthy coping mechanisms that have gotten me to this point in my life uh, have not been, a really pleasant social relationship. Um, but I make it a high priority to arrange my life to avoid upsetting or overwhelming situations. No, unfortunately, I mean, like, I should have been, but like, I'm about in being fully engaged with conflict because only through conflict can you have growth. And I'm of a growth mindset. So, like, I've always been wildly inept and fully engaged towards a solution. So, like, um, yeah, I mean, like, that was really, it's like a really painful, like, unnecessarily difficult way of going about it. And I just didn't know better. So, like, that's a no. I'm trying to get there, but at most I would just like say, oh, that social thing, that social event, I'm too tired, I'm too exhausted, I'd say, but like it was really just to avoid the overwhelming social situation that probably was not going to be rewarding, but that was pretty rare, so I can't say yes to that. Next one, I'm bothered by intense stimuli like loud noises or chaotic scenes. Yes, yes, absolutely. Too many examples to go into. Uh, Absolutely. Next one, when I must compete or be observed while performing a task, I become so nervous or shaky. Oh, excuse me. That I do much worse than I would otherwise. Yes, there's self explanatory. Yes. Next one, last one. When I was a child, my parents or teachers seemed to see me as sensitive or shy. I was called sensitive dozens and dozens and dozens of times growing up. I was called shy probably hundreds of times growing up. Yes, I don't appreciate the phrasing of the question because um, it's just unpleasing. But yes, I'm not offended by it. It's just I don't like it. Click to see your total. So I'm going to actually let you see my total as if you didn't know. So out of the 27 questions, I scored 24. None of those that I scored 24 on were iffy in my mind. None of them. So yeah, that's my score. And that's me as someone who is highly sensitive. Like I cry a lot. I have a wide range of emotions that I can articulate. So I don't have alexithymia. I'm able to understand and articulate my own emotions. That is more of a skill set. So like my struggles in that area are totally because of a lack of skill. So that's not a processing disorder. Um, my uh, to the extent that there is some perceived overlap with um, empathy with being a highly sensitive person, I'm just going to respectfully disagree because this is like the difference between precision and accuracy. I feel like my precision is high, like I'm sensing a lot of stuff. But when it comes to another person, that's where my accuracy is off. So, um, yeah, I remember I took a disc profile test, and one of the questions was, "Do you need things to be exact? Yes or no?" And my first thought was, "Do they mean accuracy or precision?" And then I thought for a minute, and I thought, I think based on my response, I can safely say yes. I need things to be exact.